The film opens with a couple named Susan and Joe, and they are camping in a forest with their daughter named Camille. In the middle of the night, Susan wakes up because she hears some odd noises that are unexplainable. Joe also wakes up and realizes that no animal can make these kinds of noise, so he decides to take a flashlight and check it out. He tells Susan to stay in the tent with Camille as he goes out to check them out. The horrible voice starts to intensify as Camille also wakes up to Susan panicking, having no other choice left. And thinking that Joe might be in trouble, she also goes after him as the noises get even louder and Camille witnesses this terrific event. We also hear the news where many people have heard that noise and are petrified, thinking that it is a supernatural phenomenon. Many people left the place after listening to the noise and never came back. 25 years later, we see Camille, who is a grown woman. She is taking art class and making sculptures while also trying to investigate what happened to her parents that night. She is talking to her teacher where she reveals that she has a small show, where she interviews all the people who heard the noise as well, just so they can understand what happened that night. After her teacher leaves, she gets a call from her friend named James, who is a student in filming. She works with him and interviews people, and he tells her that they need to interview a woman tonight, which can be very important. Camille then goes to Hunter's house, who is her boyfriend. Both of them hug each other, and he reminds her that she forgot that today was their anniversary, but he has a nice dinner planned for them already. She has to decline the romantic dinner because she says that she has a very important interview tonight. Both of them start to argue because Hunter thinks that nothing should be more important than their anniversary night, but she explains that they can do it tomorrow. Before the fight gets more serious, Hunter accepts this and hugs her, saying that they can have dinner tomorrow when she is free. After this, both James and Camille are now sitting with the woman as she explains that she was alone the night it happened. She elaborates that there was something specific about the noise that she cannot explain that made it extremely terrifying. Her dog was also there that night, and it started to panic and later passed away because its heart could not process what it just heard. Another woman also comes there, and she states that she and her husband were at the forest when it happened, and her husband started filming all of it. He was a retired pilot, so he thought that it was the crashed plane's engine that was making the noise. But as it got louder, he changed his mind, as pure terror took over him. He still decided to go forward and check it out as the wife filmed everything. They only saw a mother and his son, who were pointing at the trees and saying that the voices were coming from the bad people. The voices got even louder, and she explained that they almost felt like a lot of humans screaming all together. Her husband saw something in the trees and instantly came back running, and when asked, he said that he doesn't know what he saw and never ever talked about it because of how terrified he was. Only a physiatrist could help him. The same psychiatrist called this paranormal phenomenon the sound of hell, or the wailing and gashing of teeth. The woman also adds that it is oddly specific because what she heard sounded like the wailing and gashing of teeth. After these interviews, Camille comes home late. Hunter is too tired, so he sleeps. They do nothing, and Camille also sleeps. In the morning, James calls early in the morning because he claims that a group of people are doing a live stream about that noise from Nevada. He explains how this live stream could be important to them, which is why they need to go there and film it too, and they can be there early if they leave. She agrees on doing this because it can be groundbreaking in their research. She instantly calls Hunter to tell him that she is going away with James because this might be their only chance. As expected, James gets very mad because she is ditching him on their anniversary for the second time just so she can go with James. She makes it clear that James is nothing but a friend, so he makes it clear that he does not care about that and is just upset that she keeps missing dinner and does not spend time with him. Things get heated when he tells her to end her conspiracy theories because it will not bring her parents back. She gets angry as well and ends the call because of what he said. James calls her again and they both agree to leave together. As both of them are driving, they have a conversation about how they can also interview people there as well, but they get stopped by an officer. He explains how the roads are closed because there were landslides and that it may stay closed for the next 48 hours. But he explains that there is a train that takes all the people there from another way, and it is for free as well. They head there instantly so they don't miss and enter the train after parking their car outside. They get a nice little room inside the train, where both of them plan to stay for the rest of the ride. He pulls out a camera and starts to film her as she explains why they had to take a train instead of going from the road. Both of them then sit down, and when she mentions that she feels cold, James pulls out a pair of gloves and sits right next to her to help her wear them. Just then, Hunter walks in and feels a little awkward because of how close both of them are sitting. She gets a little creeped out thinking that Hunter was following both of them all along. He is also a little angry, so he tells James to leave for a second so they can talk. She tells him to stay because all of this can be said in front of him, but feeling awkward, he still leaves the room and sits outside. Hunter now sits down with her and calmly explains that she was not picking up his calls, so he had no choice but to follow her here. He also emphasizes that the main reason he followed her here is because he wanted to apologize for what he said. He thinks that what he said was too extreme, and he should not have been that angry at her. She also understands because it's her fault as well. Hunter then mentions that he still brought the food and wine, that both of them can eat and have dinner right now since they are not fighting anymore. Camille states that Hunter treated James badly, so it's only fair if he calls him inside, so they can all at least sit inside together and drink the wine. He also agrees because he knows James is just a friend of hers, and nothing is going on between the two. Hunter goes out and nicely calls him inside so all of them can sit together and talk. James comes inside and sits together as both of them have a weird conversation. Hunter still tries to stay nice because he knows that James means a lot to Camille, but their conversation is extremely uncomfortable. They talk about each other and James tells him that he is just studying film, so any experience he gets will help his studies. Hunter reveals that he makes wine for a living and that the wine they are drinking is also made by him. Camille asks when the train is going to stop. James says that they still have an hour left, so they should take a quick nap since it is a little late. Then, the train enters a tunnel and we see a suspicious-looking man with a bag. Camille wakes up alongside Hunter and notices that the train has stopped, so she wakes him and James up because she thinks that they must be at their location. Hunter thinks that it is a bit strange, so he gets up and goes outside to check where they are. He sees that they are in the middle of a tunnel and he presumes that they stopped there, because the train must be having some issues with its engine. James thinks that it is something else, because it has been too late and the engine is fixed quickly, before they can further guess what is going on. They hear the train driver from the intercom and he tells them to stay put because they will be leaving soon. They think that everything will be fine, until a troubled woman named Rita walks in and asks if they know what is going on, because they have been here for a long time. They tell her about the intercom, but she is still worried because her husband left a long time ago to go and talk to the driver, but he has not returned yet. Hunter tries to convince her that everything will be fine and tells her to sit down with them if she does not feel safe. She accepts the offer, but just as she sits down, the lights go out because the power got cut for some reason. Luckily, James has a few flashlights in his bag, so he gives one to Camille and keeps one to himself. Rita is still very paranoid about this situation and Hunter is now also very curious, since the lights went out, so he decides to go outside as well. Camille stops him and does not want him to go out there, but he insists on going and ensures that he will be careful out there. Rita mentions that her husband's name is Greg, so if he finds him he should bring him back here. Hunter understands and leaves, thinking that nothing bad will happen, but little does he know. As he is walking outside and trying to find other people, Camille starts asking her questions like a normal person, but James is recording it all. He also makes up a fake name for his aunt, who lives here, just so he can keep the conversation and talk more about this place. She also talks about how she was going to attend the funeral of her husband's sister, and explains that she passed away because of a massive heart attack. Camille thinks that it happened again and she heard the noise, which is why she passed away. They also ask where the sister lived, and she states that she lived all alone in a ranch neat forest, which makes them think even more that it happened again, and she perished because of the noise. As they are talking, they hear strange noises from intercom, which sound like heavy breathing, but they cannot understand what is happening. On the other hand, Hunter sees that the driver left the train and is running away, so he runs after him because there is no one else who knows how to start the train and they will get stuck. Back in the room, all three of them are silent because they are scared by the sound they heard, but James asks if he should go out and check it. Camille instantly says no, because she does not want anyone else to go out and get lost, but Rita is worried and says that he should go out and bring her husband back. Camille is also concerned for Hunter, so she decides that both of them should go out there together, and James agrees. Both of them go out while Rita is alone inside the room. As Rita hears some weird noises again, both of them get out of the train and head to the engine room, but can clearly see that someone has run away. James stands outside and keeps looking, while Camille goes inside the engine room but sees that no one is there because there are footsteps outside. She looks around and finds out that the engine is not even running, so she gets very scared because they can be stuck here for a long time. She comes outside and tells James that the engine is not running when they both hear loud noises again. They are similar to the ones she heard as a child, because they sound like people screaming. Both of them are now absolutely petrified because of this, so they instantly run back to the room and talk with Rita again. They tell her that there was no one in the engine room and they looked for her husband and Hunter, but they found no one. She inquires if they looked everywhere, because they could be hiding in a room as well. Camille realizes that she saw another train car and they did not check it out, so there is a chance that Hunter can be there, so they need to go out again. All three of them go outside again, but they find nothing, and only hear a strange noise that came from a radio. All of them hear the noise at the same time and head back to their room, where they start guessing what could have happened. James says that there is a strong chance that one of the switches on the railroad froze, and they went there just to fix it, which would also explain why the train stopped in the first place. But Rita points out that it should not take this long, and that if they were doing that, they would have been back by now. James also thinks that they should have been back by now, so he thinks that maybe they just walked to Nevada to get some help, because they thought it was better than coming back to the train. Rita again disagrees and says they are far away from Nevada right now and her husband would not do this, because he wouldn't leave her like this, and they would all freeze if they did that, so something else must have happened. James is very confused, because nothing makes sense, and Camille asks how long the tunnel is. She suggests that they should at least try to get out of the tunnel by walking, but Rita says that none of them know how long the tunnel is, so anything can go wrong if they do that. Suddenly, they again hear voices from the telecom that scare them at first, but they almost sound like distorted words. They do not understand anything, but at least they know that someone is here who is trying to speak to them. Rita pleads that someone should go out and find them, because they might be back, but Camille starts an argument saying that it can be very dangerous. James breaks things up by saying that he will go outside and check, even though Camille is still against it. When he steps outside, Camille gets very concerned for him, thinking that he should not be out there all alone, so she is left with no choice but to go with him. Both of them walk outside and again go inside the engine room, because if anyone comes back they should be in there. They both go inside and keep searching and shouting for people. But suddenly, Camille sees a face and gets frightened to the point where she starts screaming and runs away. James runs after her and asks what happened, and she explains that she saw someone in there, and she does not know who it was. James asks some more questions, but she is unable to answer them because she is not sure what she just witnessed. Scared and confused, they are then heading back when they see that the door to their room is opened, and Rita is missing. They slowly walk in there, while calling for Rita and asking where she went. They get startled when they hear something, but realize that it is a radio under a bag. The radio belongs to the man with a bag we saw earlier in the movie, and James now realizes that someone is trying to contact that man. He instantly talks back and says that he is stuck on a train that is heading to Nevada, and that many people are missing as well. Camille takes the radio and tells the man on the other end that he needs to send help because something very bad is happening on the train. She explains that she does not know the exact location of the train, but it was heading to Nevada, and is now stuck in a tunnel. The man tells them that he will contact the sheriff and send help immediately, and also asks about the man who had the radio, but they tell him that he is long gone, like all the other people who have abruptly disappeared. He also tells them to put the radio back where they found it, because the signals there were good, and to not touch any buttons, because they might accidentally cut him off. They follow the instructions and put it back as the man tells them to stay in touch. As they move forward, they turn around and see the body of Rita, whose face is gone black, and they cannot possibly imagine what caused her to pass away like this. Even more terrified, both of them are thinking about what they should do now when Camille hears the voice of the hunter calling for her. She instantly runs toward the voice, but James strongly suggests that they should stay inside and wait for the cops to come, because going outside can be very dangerous right now. However, she does not listen to him and still goes outside, so he has no choice but to follow her. As he is following her, he is unable to see, so he trips over something and falls down as he very badly injures his ankle, which makes the situation even worse. She comes back instantly and asks what happened. James is feeling extreme pain as he mentions that he cannot feel his foot anymore. She manages to get him up and take him back inside the room and sits down with him, still not knowing what any of this means. She starts to burn off some pages in the heater to make it warmer, and the noises start to get even more and more loud. They sound like a crowd of people packed inside a tiny room, all screaming at the same time as loud as they can. The experience is horrifying, as both of them are losing their minds and know that this might be the last moment of their life. The eerie noises finally stop for a brief moment, and they can now think about what they need to do. Camille sees that they do not have a lighter, so they cannot burn paper to make the place warmer. James tells her that there needs to be something in the backpack they found earlier. Knowing that she needs to do this, Camille goes out there all alone and notices the man talking on the radio. She asks him how long it will take for them to get there, and he says that people are coming, but it may take them at least 40 minutes. She fears that they might not survive that long and tells him to hurry up. She then finds a matchbox in the backpack and brings it back to the room where she tries to light up the papers. She is shaking in fear and her hands are shivering with cold as well, which is why she is unable to even burn a matchstick. She keeps trying again and again, but keeps failing until James tells her to stop. She goes near him and lies right by him while apologizing for everything that has been happening to him. After a while, he says that it is alright if she cannot make the place any warmer, and mentions that there were blankets outside, so both of them can have separate blankets and be warm. She thinks that it is a good idea, so she goes out to get the blankets. When she surprisingly sees her parents, she goes near them and hugs them without asking any questions and emphasizes how much she has missed them. But before anything else can happen, her parents also turn black, just like Rita did, and Camille wakes up. She sees that she slept instead of bringing the blankets and she was just having a nightmare. She now looks back to see that James is not moving at all, which means that he passed away because he was left in the cold for a long time while he was injured. She takes a closer look and is devastated to see that James' face has also turned black just like Rita's. She does not know how this is happening, but she is sure that is related to the noises. She takes the radio and tries to contact someone again, but there is no signal, so she gets even more distressed. She sits there because there is nothing that she can do when the voices start to get louder. Hunter finally comes back inside the train, where both of them are happy to see each other after such a long time. They hug each other and he explains that he chased the driver, but never stopped, and he got lost in the fog. He also says the voices are actually people. Camille gets extremely overwhelmed by the loud noises, but she feels relieved when they stop. The little joy she gained from this is instantly snatched from her when she looks up and sees that Hunter has also turned black. She starts to cry after looking at the lifeless Hunter, and she is now completely broken. She sees that help has finally arrived, and they take her away in a car. Later on, she is in a hospital where she wakes and wonders what happened to her and if any of them are alive. She looks at the news and sees that they are talking about the incident. She listens as they explain how a train got stuck in a tunnel and people were stuck inside it. They clearly announce that all the people on the train passed away with only a few survivors. They introduce Rita and claim that she is one of the survivors of this incident, and she states that she cannot talk about it right now because she is traumatized. Camille is even more confused and does not know how she came back or what the noises are.